You're not tired because your body is weak. You're tired because your spirit is carrying a weight it was never meant to hold. You wake up and before your feet even touch the ground, something in you already feels behind. You scroll, you rush, you drown in noise you never asked for. And even when you rest, you don't actually rest. Your mind keeps running long after your body stops. We call it burnout, but Musashi, the greatest swordsman Japan ever produced, would call it something far more dangerous: misalignment. He trained harder than any of us. He fought duels to the death. He lived with nothing but a sword, a purpose, and a silence sharper than steel. Yet he never burned out. Why? Because his energy wasn't stolen by comparison, distraction, or noise. It flowed in one direction, his direction. And that's where your exhaustion begins. Not in your muscles, not in your schedule, but in the invisible places your attention leaks away. This is the truth no one tells you. You don't need more sleep. You need your soul back. And Musashi knew exactly how to reclaim it. There was a time when you weren't exhausted. A time when you woke up curious, not drained. When effort felt natural. When challenge felt like oxygen. When the world didn't feel so heavy on your chest. But somewhere along the way, something cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, the way all important things break. It happened the moment you stopped living from your center and started living from the outside in. The moment you began measuring your life against what other people were doing. The moment you started chasing goals that weren't yours, wearing masks that never fit, agreeing to things that drained you just so you wouldn't disappoint anyone. That was the moment your inner flame dimmed. Musashi understood this before most of us learned how to speak. At 13, when he fought and won his first duel, people expected him to celebrate. They expected pride, applause, the taste of victory. Instead, he walked home alone. No cheering, no celebration, just silence and reflection. Because even at that age, he realized a truth most people never understand. The moment you fight for approval, you lose your power. Your energy doesn't die when life gets hard. It dies when you begin fighting battles that don't belong to you. And that's what happened to you. Every time you scroll to see who's ahead, every time you hesitate because you fear judgment, every time you say yes when your soul is begging you to say no, a small part of you leaks away, not enough to notice at first, but enough that years later you wonder why you wake up tired, even after 8 hours of sleep. Musashi preserved his energy because he preserved his why. He wasn't chasing admiration. He wasn't performing for the world. He was sharpening himself for himself. Your exhaustion is not the problem, it's the symptom. A sign that your attention, your priorities, and your purpose have been pulled apart until nothing inside you points in the same direction anymore. But here's the part the world never teaches you. Your energy comes back the moment you return to yourself. The moment you stop leaking power into places that don't deserve it. The moment you choose alignment over approval. This is where the path begins. Not with rest, not with escape, but with clarity. And Musashi's life reveals the next step, learning to carry less, so that what truly matters can finally breathe. You don't realize how heavy you are until you start putting things down. Musashi lived like a ghost, passing through the world barefoot, traveling light, owning almost nothing. He slept on floors. He carried one bowl, one robe, and the sword he carved his life into. Not because he wanted to look humble, not because simplicity was aesthetic, but because he understood something brutally practical. Every unnecessary thing you carry becomes a weakness in battle. And your battle today is not fought with steel, it's fought with your attention. While Musashi's path demanded that he move like water, you move through a world designed to weigh you down. A phone buzzing every 10 seconds. A dozen conversations you don't need to be in. Notifications that do nothing but pull threads from your mind until you unravel by lunchtime. Expectations, obligations, gossip, deadlines, pressure. Small things individually harmless, but together, a mountain on your back. Your exhaustion isn't dramatic, it's cumulative. It's the weight of hundreds of tiny, invisible stones you picked up without noticing. Yes, I'll help. Yes, I'll be there. Yes, I'll answer. Yes, I'll deal with it. Yes, I'll pretend I'm okay. Musashi refused to carry what wasn't his. He disassembled life until only the essential remained. Because he knew, the body breaks when the spirit is crowded. You, on the other hand, are crowded. Too many open tabs in the mind, too many unfinished thoughts, too many people living inside your head rent-free, too much emotional clutter, too many bags that don't belong to you, and every one of them steals a little more strength. Your life was never meant to be this complicated. Your soul was never built to hold this much noise. Your energy was never designed to flow through 20 different channels at once. You think you are tired because you are doing too much. But the truth is more silent, more subtle, more devastating. You are tired because you are carrying too much and none of it is yours. Musashi teaches us the first act of power, to release what is not essential, to simplify without apology, to lighten the load so the path becomes walkable again. Start small, one object on your desk, one commitment you've been pretending is necessary, one voice you need to mute, one expectation you can finally put down. When you subtract, you don't lose. You return to clarity, to energy, to yourself. And once the weight begins to fall away, Musashi reveals the next secret: why motivation fails and why rhythm sets you free. Motivation is the drug of the modern world, a quick hit, a temporary spark, a brief illusion of power that vanishes the moment reality demands consistency. You wait to feel ready. You wait for inspiration. You wait for the right mood, the right timing, the right energy. But Musashi would tell you this: if he had waited for motivation, he would have died in his second duel. The world remembers him as an invincible swordsman, but people forget the part that made him invincible. The repetition no one saw, the discipline no one applauded, the hours of practice carved into the quiet. There are records of him spending entire days obsessing over a single strike, one motion, repeated thousands upon thousands of times until his body could perform it with the same ease as breathing. For Musashi, training wasn't emotional. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't a performance. It was rhythm. The rhythm of a life pointed in one direction. That's what modern people have forgotten. You depend on emotion to move you. You wait for the right feeling. You think consistency is born from inspiration. But inspiration is fragile. Motivation evaporates. And you cannot build an aligned life out of things that vanish. Musashi didn't train because he felt like it. He trained because he was a person who trained. That's the shift. When effort becomes identity, it stops draining you. It becomes the pulse of your life, a beat that carries you rather than one you endlessly chase. Think of it this way: brushing your teeth doesn't exhaust you. Why? Because it's rhythm, automatic, unargued with, part of who you are. What if your purpose felt the same? What if your practice, your craft, your growth were so deeply integrated into your identity that they no longer required force? Musashi transformed repetition into liberation. He didn't rely on motivation to climb the mountain, he became the mountain. You're drained because you expect feeling to fuel you. But feelings are inconsistent, identity is not. When you stop asking for motivation and start building rhythm, your energy returns, your direction sharpens, your inner power stabilizes. And when that happens, when your internal rhythm replaces your external cravings, you unlock the next level of Musashi's path, the art of letting go of results. Because the moment you detach from outcomes, your energy becomes unstoppable. There is a moment in Musashi's life that reveals the entire architecture of his power, a single duel that exposes why some people burn out and why some move through life like a force of nature. The year was 1612. His opponent, Sasaki Kojiro, elegant, deadly, undefeated. A man known for his impossible speed and the blade he wielded like a whisper. People say Kojiro stepped onto the island dressed in perfection. Clean robes, polished steel, confidence untouched by doubt. He stood ready, poised, already imagining victory. Musashi, on the other hand, arrived late, unwashed, hair tangled, clothes rough, and in his hand not a masterpiece of steel, but a wooden sword he carved from an oar on the boat ride over. To the crowd it looked careless, disrespectful, almost foolish. But Musashi understood something they didn't. When your mind is clear, results don't matter. When your spirit is aligned, outcomes cannot intimidate you. And when you stop chasing victory, you stop fearing defeat. The duel lasted only seconds. Kojiro charged, the way a man charges when his identity depends on winning. Musashi stood in stillness, the kind of stillness that comes from a life stripped of ego, distraction, and noise. One movement, one strike, and Kojiro, the legend, fell. Silence. Musashi didn't smile. He didn't pose. He didn't claim glory. He turned, walked back toward his boat, and left the island behind him. Because for him, victory meant nothing. Mastery meant everything. This is where your exhaustion is born. You attach your energy to results, to numbers, approval, validation, outcomes you can't control. You feel alive when you're winning and empty when you're not. Motivation rises and falls with your success. Self-worth rises and falls with your metrics. Energy rises and falls with every external fluctuation. Musashi was untouchable because he fought empty. No attachment, no fear, no performance. When you act for the sake of mastery, you act freely. When you move without needing applause, you move powerfully. When you detach from results, your spirit stops leaking energy into every outcome you can't control. This is the paradox of power. The less you care about victory, the more your life begins to feel victorious. Detach from outcomes, and something extraordinary happens. Your mind becomes still, and your energy flows without resistance. And it is within that stillness that Musashi discovered the next secret: how to find quiet, even in the heart of movement, and why true energy lives in the space between your breaths. Musashi's power did not come from aggression. It did not come from speed, strength, or talent. It came from something far more elusive, something almost forgotten in the modern world: stillness. Not the stillness of sitting cross-legged in a quiet room, but the stillness inside movement, the stillness inside danger, the stillness inside chaos. Between duels, Musashi would disappear into the wilderness. He would sit by rivers, sketching the flow of water. He would carve wooden sculptures with the same precision he used to split an opponent's guard. He would paint landscapes and practice calligraphy, barely speaking, barely moving, as if training the silence itself. To him, the way of the sword and the way of art were the same. Both demanded presence. Both demanded a mind untangled from noise. Both required the ability to enter a state modern psychology calls flow, but Musashi would call it something simpler: the place where the mind stops fighting itself. You, on the other hand, are never still, not truly. You wake up in motion, you eat in motion, you rest in motion, and even when your body is still, your mind keeps sprinting, scrolling, anticipating, replaying, overthinking, rushing. Your nervous system stays on a battlefield long after the danger is gone. The samurai found rest inside the strike, inside the breath, inside the present moment, where thought dissolves and clarity takes over. That is why he had endless energy, not because he avoided stress, but because he learned how to be undisturbed within it. Imagine you are swinging a sword. If your mind hesitates, you die. If your thoughts scatter, you miss. If your spirit panics, you lose yourself. Musashi trained a state where every movement was meditation. Every step was awareness. Every breath was alignment. And here is the truth that the modern world hides beneath endless distractions. Your energy is not drained by activity. It is drained by inner noise. When your mind is loud, even simple tasks exhaust you. When your mind is still, even great challenges invigorate you. This is why people who overthink feel tired doing nothing, while people who are aligned can work for hours without burning out. Musashi's stillness wasn't passive, it was active, dynamic, alive, a stillness that lets movement flow through you without resistance. Find that in your own life, in writing, in training, in walking, in the single quiet moment where your mind stops running away from itself and something shifts. The chaos stops feeling like chaos. The world stops feeling like weight. Your energy returns not because life became easier, but because you finally stopped fighting yourself. And it's here in this inner silence that Musashi discovered the ultimate source of unbreakable energy: clarity. The kind found only when a person knows themselves without illusion. And even more, the kind that, in the struggles of life, in the final stretch of his life, Musashi did something unusual. He withdrew from the world completely and walked alone into a cave called Regando, a hollow chamber carved into the mountains of Kumamoto, where silence breathed heavier than air. No disciples, no battles, no audience. Just a man, a candle, a brush, and the raw truth of his own spirit. It was here, in this stone womb, that Musashi wrote the Book of Five Rings, a lifetime of victory distilled into pure clarity. And what he discovered in that cave was not a technique, not a strategy, not a secret shortcut, but the truth that shatters every myth about energy. Your strength does not come from effort. It comes from alignment. Modern life tells you the opposite. It tells you to push harder, chase more, drink caffeine, optimize every second, run faster, succeed louder. But no amount of effort can save a divided spirit. Musashi didn't retreat to that cave to escape the world. He retreated to see himself without interference. Because when a person finally stops moving, the illusions fall away, and the real source of power becomes impossible to ignore. This was his final realization. You don't burn out because you're weak. You burn out because your actions, your beliefs, and your purpose no longer point in the same direction. Your life is a room where every object faces a different way. Your mind says one thing, your habits do another. Your dreams pull you forward while your fears anchor you backward. Musashi saw that a divided life will exhaust even the strongest warrior. But when everything within you aligns, when your choices, your direction, and your inner truth form a single straight path, energy becomes something you don't have to search for. It becomes something you are. In that cave, writing by candlelight, Musashi understood that no external force could give a human being lasting strength. Not inspiration, not applause, not talent, not recognition, not even discipline on its own. Only clarity. Clarity of who you are, clarity of what you serve, clarity of where you are going. The world is full of people with ambition but no alignment, and that is why they collapse. That is why they wake exhausted. That is why their spirit feels heavy. Energy is not something you generate. It is something you release once you stop wasting it on things that do not belong to your path. Musashi found that clarity alone in a cave. You may not need a cave, but you will need silence. You will need honesty. You will need the courage to remove what is false so that what is true can finally breathe. And once clarity takes root, the final shift becomes inevitable. You begin to live a life where your energy flows without obstruction. The path of unbreakable energy. When you look at Musashi's life from the outside, it seems superhuman. 60 undefeated duels, a master swordsman, painter, poet, strategist, a man whose presence felt heavier than steel. But his strength did not come from superhuman gifts. It came from the way he walked his path. The modern world teaches you to chase everything. Musashi teaches you to chase one thing: alignment. He lived by 4 laws, each one stripping away the illusions that drain us today. Law 1. Simplicity over comfort. Musashi owned almost nothing because every possession is a thread tied to your attention, and he refused to give his spirit away, piece by piece. Your energy rises the moment you stop drowning in excess, the objects, the commitments, the mental clutter that quietly erodes your strength. Law 2. Rhythm over motivation. He did not wait for inspiration. He built rituals, not moods. He trained because he was a man who trained. Identity over emotion. And when your actions become identity, effort becomes effortless. Law 3. Stillness over noise. While the world chased entertainment, Musashi sought silence, because silence reveals truth. Silence sharpens the blade of the mind. Silence reconnects you to the part of yourself that never burns out. Your power is not born in chaos. It is born in the quiet place inside you, where nothing pretends. Law 4. Purpose over pleasure. Musashi understood that pleasure is fleeting, but purpose generates endless energy. He wasn't fueled by excitement. He was fueled by alignment. That's the paradox most people never understand. When you remove what is not your path stops feeling heavy. It becomes a current that carries you. Your exhaustion today is not a verdict. It's a compass. It's pointing to the conversations you've outgrown, the habits that no longer serve you, the distractions that are eating your spirit from the inside, the battles that were never yours to fight. Musashi's path is not about withdrawal. It's about precision. Cutting away until only the essential remains, until you become a straight line in a world full of circles. Because when your inner world stops contradicting itself, when your heart, mind, and actions finally agree, you become something most people never get to feel: energetically invincible. A person who isn't pulled, drained, or scattered. A person whose presence is solid. A person who moves through life with a calm, unstoppable current. And that current becomes the foundation of the next transformation. The moment you stop living divided and begin walking your own path, with nothing left to prove and no weight left to carry. This is the threshold Musashi spent a lifetime reaching. And once crossed, it leads to the final truth, the call to return to yourself and awaken the energy you lost long ago. Before this video ends, pause. Not to think, not to analyze, but to feel. Somewhere inside you, a quiet truth has been rising, a recognition, a memory, a sense that you've drifted far from yourself and it's time to return. So tonight, do something small, something ancient, something Musashi himself would understand. Choose one inner object to carry with you, one intention, one discipline, one truth. Not 10, not 5, just one. Because transformation begins the moment your energy stops scattering and starts flowing in a single direction. Maybe your inner object is silence, maybe it's focus, maybe it's the decision to cut away one distraction you've been pretending you need, maybe it's a promise to yourself you've abandoned for too long. Whatever rises inside you, take that, hold it, guard it, let it become the anchor that pulls you back into alignment. And as you move through tonight, as you wake up tomorrow, whisper the phrase that will guide your path back to your center. I rise above interference. Say it slowly, with intention, not as motivation, but as identity. Because you are not returning to a new version of yourself. You are returning to the self you buried beneath fear, comparison, and noise. To the self that was never tired, never broken, never lost. You are not awakening, you are remembering. If this message resonated with you, you already know what to do. Subscribe, follow, and continue this journey as we explore the deeper codes of inner alchemy, the art of reclaiming your energy, your clarity, and the path you were always meant to walk. The final truth is waiting. In the end, Musashi's greatest lesson was not about the sword, not about discipline, not about victory. It was about remembrance. He understood that every human being is born with a fire of quiet, unwavering brilliance buried beneath layers of noise, fear, and expectation. And life's true work is not to create that light, but to uncover it. You were not born tired. You were not born confused. You were not born divided. You were born radiant, clear, whole. The exhaustion you feel is only the shadow cast when you stand too far from your own light. But step closer just a little and you begin to see it again. The spark you had as a child, the clarity you felt in rare moments of stillness, the strength that rises in you when you stop pretending. That is the real you. That is the self Musashi spent a lifetime sharpening toward, not a stronger version, a truer one. And this is the quiet truth you've felt echoing through every chapter of this journey. You were never empty. You were never broken. You were never weak. The light was always inside you. Your only task now is to remove what dims it, to walk the path that aligns with it, to protect it from the world's noise, and to remember again and again what Musashi understood in that silent cave. When you return to your inner center, your energy becomes limitless, and your life becomes your own. So as this reflection ends, carry this final knowing like a torch through the dark. Your light is not something you find, it is something you come home to, and you are already on the path back.